Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab. It's Thursday, it's 7 o'clock, and it's time for us to start the show. Before we figure out what we're going to be talking about, we'll introduce ourselves. Bridget, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Bridget Willard. I specialize in business-to-business relationship marketing on Twitter, and you can find out more about me at bridgetwillard.com.
Nice. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter, and my website is jasontucker.blog. You can find all the fun stuff that happens over there. We also do another show here on WP Watercoolers Network. It's called WP Watercooler. And we do this show on Fridays at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific. So feel free to go take a look at that. We're going to be doing some fun stuff tomorrow. So feel free to come hang out with us and talk a little bit about some WordPress. So this is episode number 91. I'm telling you, we're counting down to 100, Bridget. Counting down to 100.
Can you even believe it?
Yes. And tonight we're going to be talking about marketing Gutenberg awareness and education.
I love it.
That's what we're going to be talking about. So both Bridget and I have been speaking at our local WordPress meetups, and we've been, talking about Gutenberg stuff. Bridget's has built. Almost got. Oh my goodness! Almost said built in Gutenbergen. Oh my gosh! Getting very Gutenberg. So yeah. So did a Gutenberg website called
Gutenbridget.
Yeah, Gutenbridget.com. So feel free to go take a look at that. We'll have the notes for that in our show notes. So we'll be doing that too. And Bridget, tell us a little bit about like what you ended up doing last night at your meetup.
So last night I did a tour because I'm not a developer, so I can't like teach you how to make a block. But I did a basic tour of this is what it looks like. This is what's the same. This is what's different. It's not a meta box. It's a block. I showed them about contextual formatting, adding blocks, hovering over, and then I did an overview as a slide share, and then we Facebook Lived it. You can find that at bridgetwillard.com. I just posted that tonight. And I did a live blog. I posted a blog live. I made a blog post and published it live and showed them all the cool things as it happens. Some things worked, some things did not work. Like I dropped in 3 pictures for the gallery and then set it to be 2 columns. So 2 went like this and 1 went big like that. It stacked automatically and it looked cool in the preview, but when I published, it did not work. And so, there's issues with themes, just like in real life with WordPress right now. So actually, my friend Susan's like, let me have a login. I'll go fix that CSS. I'm like, sure, have fun. Like, that's part of why I made Gutenbridget.com. And I wanted people to see, like, some of the concerns I had in the state of the word. Matthias Ventura's, his presentation of is I didn't like that it automatically made blocks for every single paragraph. I'm like, that can't be good for Yoast, right? But then all my friends were like, oh, of course, it just outputs as paragraph tags. But of course, because I'm so cynical and a doubting Thomas, I wanted to publish this and then go view the source and see for myself that it's indeed paragraph tags. And it is indeed paragraph tags because there's a lot that happens in staging. But staging isn't real life.
Yeah.
So because people are like, oh, you're like Chicken Little, you're alarmist. I go, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So I bought a Bluehost, thing. I bought a GoDaddy domain, spent like $200 I really shouldn't have spent. And I started doing things. And as I found errors, guess what? I went on GitHub. Some things are fixed, some things are not. But guess, that's it. Like WordPress is what we make it. And that's where I really felt the encouragement from Morten Rand Henriksen at WordCamp Seattle. He gave a talk at US too, but Seattle's was better, I think. Anyway, it was a really good experience. And people were like oohs and ahs. And what was interesting is the people who are brand new go, oh, I'm glad I'm learning now, right? The rest of us are like, ooh, that's a lot of unlearning. And some people are like, ooh, I don't want to edit this. Like they're thinking of it in the context of their own workflow. So it was interesting. I even had a couple of developers there who were like, "That was really good, Bridget," and I was like, "Oh," like it was in my personal life. I was very proud of that presentation, but also it conveyed something to everyone valuable. That this is what's going to happen. We don't need to freak out. We just need to do what we're doing. Let's look at it. Let's test it. If there's something wrong, let's make a GitHub issue. Let's be involved, So it was good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when I did my presentation, I did the same sort of thing, but it was more on the technical side of things. And one of the things I kept getting questioned about is like, when's this thing going to come out? Is it going to break all the websites that I have? How do I turn it off? What are the, like a whole bunch of just negative type things. None of it was positive. It was always just like, how do I turn this thing off? This thing's going to drive me nuts. I don't want to push enter and have a whole new block show up. How do
I
I
didn't like that either.
It was like everything. And then I started showing them like how to do like slash commands, and like people's heads started blowing up. They're just like, what, why would you do that? But hey.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the problem is I think of things in different layers, and that's what's good about me. And I have my own personal opinions. I have opinions I mean, I've been consulting companies on what they should do to use Gutenberg as a marketing, you know. Um, and because the truth is, it's going forward. Being upset about it is not productive, but sometimes our emotions can be directed into something that is productive. Okay. So I know I've been accused of some alarmism, but the truth is that I've been right the whole year I've been talking about this, or half a year.
Right.
Because I've been invested in it because I'm on the Make WordPress marketing team. Like I saw it before, it was public, so whatever. Anyway, my point is that there's so many ways that people use WordPress that Gutenberg will have that many more impacts. So if you're a writer like me, I'm going to look at it more in a different way. I'm going to look at it in a workflow way than if you're somebody who's editing content, than if you're somebody who's building pages, than if you're a host and all you care about is the back end. I was talking to somebody who works in support, and they were saying, "Oh, I only work in the back end, so it doesn't matter." And then I was like, "But things are going to change, and who are they going to blame?"
Yeah. Well, it's going to be all the developers. It's all the things that make the dynamics of the site, both the front end and the back end, happen. And they're going to get mad about it. Why is this working this way? And why isn't this working right? And I'm trying to use ACF and this isn't working. I'm trying to use this and that's not working. And edge case after edge case after edge case is going to come up.
It's going to still, things that exist will still render correctly. But if you built your theme in ACF and you don't right now, ACF doesn't support Gutenberg. They're working on it. ACF is working on it. But you're not going to lose your data, but you're not. Okay, so what Gutenberg does, and this is what I differentiated in my presentation last night, Gutenberg changes how you interact with the admin screen, with the dashboard, with the editing. Okay, so it's taking that experience and changing it. Like the skin is different, and so then you're not going to see your ACF fields. So it means that the current pages you have won't break, but you won't be able to create new pages with that template, because the templates, it breaks. Right. So Kevin says if ACF is broken, then it breaks the editing. Storage and display is fine. Right. I understand that. That's what I'm saying. The content is there. The way what's already done works. But what you can't change anything. And so my argument is, therefore, it is broken. And what's going to happen is if you have a host that automatically upgrades you to the next point release,
Yep.
then you're going to have a shit ton of calls because people are going to see when they log in that it looks different. They're not going to understand why if we don't educate people. And then they're going to blame somebody who has no fault for it. And there's going to be a lot of rolling back. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
especially like the things like the drop down for being able to switch between the classic editor and the Gutenberg style editor, like that sort of thing. I had to click around going like, I remember they had this someplace. Where did they put it? Now, I know it's in the upper left-hand corner, but which screen is it? Do I have to edit the post first, or is it something that shows up below it?
right.
I don't know. I have to play around with it. And so I played around with it a little bit live because I told everybody, I was like, I haven't touched this for like a month. Let's see what happens.
Right. I mean, they do have gluten-free, classic editor, as James is pointing out in the chat. And I know my team ACF people are all excited, but we forget that this is inside baseball, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is not real life. I just got a comment on my blog post from a broker. She's a real estate broker and she blogs about real estate. She doesn't give a crap about any of this. She's like, oh my God, you guys are ruining my life. That happened from an affiliate blogger. She's like, what the heck? I put this in a blogging group I'm part of and everybody's flipping out. So we're like, yeah, it's fine because you're all developers or whatever.
Right. This guy's not following for us.
Or we're so into it that we can roll. But we forget about the end users, and we say, oh, the cat blogs. But, there are a lot of people who have their own blogs and they are going to be surprised if we don't talk about it, which is part of why you and I are having this show. And what I've advised my clients and my friends to do is, if I were you and you sat with me at Starbucks and paid me $150 to sit with you, because that's my consulting rate, I would tell you this. Go through the highest paying clients for the website builds you had, the last 10, and pitch to them converting their sites to Gutenberg. I would start writing on your blog about what Gutenberg is about and dissuading those fears, because some of them are sound and some of them are not. And going through and educating people, because the way to overcome fear is education. I would also spend money training my staff in JavaScript and React so that you could get your plugins ready. I would also make a real big decision of whether or not you're going to go forward and whether you're going to go backward or you're going to have two. So you could start a company and only support WordPress 4.9 and below. And that could be a business. Or you could say, we're going forward and we're going to be Gutenberg only and lose the customer base that isn't. There's, regardless of our belief in backward compatibility, the reality is I don't see a way to not have breaking changes. This is a structural difference, and this is only the first phase. The end, I've seen mock-ups of the end. The end is the whole editor is totally different. Okay.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, that's what I was showing at our meetup, is that I said, have you ever posted anything on LinkedIn before? And people are like, oh yeah, I've used LinkedIn. I was like, when you push enter and it makes like blocks, it's these different blocks. That's the same type of thing. And then I load up Facebook and I load up the Facebook Notes feature. And I was like, here's Facebook Notes. Facebook Notes uses the same block style architecture to be able to build out your blocks. If you want to have like a image that spans across the whole page, if you want to have a video that spans across the whole page, and a video that's inline, any of those sorts of things, you can do all that stuff. I mean, Facebook's using it, LinkedIn's using it, Medium's using it. So not that they're using Gutenberg. And I had a ton of people that were like, oh, they're all using Gutenberg. Well, it can't be that bad. And I'm like, no. Like the idea of using a block style editor
Right.
That's what they're all
Yes.
using. And
Right.
if you want to learn how to play around with this stuff without installing it on your own site, go write a post on LinkedIn, go write a post on Medium, go write a post on Facebook, and just kind of see how that whole process works. I mean, it's not scary. If all you're doing is just talking about your cat on your website and that's it, you're not going to have any problems here. You're going to push enter, a new block's going to show up. You're going to be able to put in another photo of your cat.
Yeah.
And then you push enter again, and you're going to be able to put in another video of your cat on YouTube. All those things are going to be super simple to do.
It's businesses
it's
with
when it gets
custom themes.
Yeah. Yeah. When it gets really complicated, especially if you're already using if you're using some type of visual style editor for being able to do your page layouts or any of that sort of thing. Yeah, things are going to change, and we're all going to be going through that ride together to do that, because when I build client websites, I'm building them using something like Beaver Builder, or I'm using it like Beaver Builder, or I'm stuck using whatever Visual Composer type thing they're using, or whatever it is that's in there. So yeah, I mean, we're all going to go through this ride together, and we're, I'd imagine that in the end, we're going to look back and go like, well, okay, so we have, 30% of Beaver Builder still being used. The rest of it is now these things that are tacked onto it that are being used by Gutenberg to be able to make things happen. So
yeah, and then
we'll see how it goes.
And you see who's paying attention. Like, I would bet money on Beaver Builder in Vegas. They're invested. They're,
Yep.
they have good JavaScript skills, according to the people that I trust. And I've talked to Robbie McCullough personally, extensively about this, and I would trust them because you're still going to want to be able to make blocks go together and have that duplicated, whether you want to call that a template or what. You're going to want that ability to go, okay, I always want a web page that does da 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 da, and it's always going to be like that. Or I always want, like, even James and Josh wrote social share, and it's just with mass share, I turn it on and it's on every single post. I don't have to put it every single time. But with Gutenberg, you have to put it every single time. You have to intentionally put that every single time. The only thing Gutenberg starts with is a title and a paragraph. Otherwise, it doesn't start you off with everything that you use just because you install it. It's not there. But the choice of it is there. The block is available, but you have to like intentionally put it. So if you always want a title, you always want an image, you always want a social share, then you can start that off as a template. Those things are always going to be helpful. We're always going to want that.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the same type of thing that happened with Beaver Builder. When Beaver Builder started, it was like, here's Beaver Builder. It's a page editor. You can put all the elements in there and you can drop them and do all this stuff. And then Beaver Tunnels came out, and Beaver Tunnels was a way of being able to have these like custom styled templates that would use Beaver Builder's engine to be able to actually make templates that you could use. And then, Beaver Builder came out with their own thing to replace using Beaver Tunnels. So you're able to kind of use Builder to build these things out. So I'd imagine at some point here, Gutenberg is going to go from strictly just being able to put text in there with a bunch of inline stuff and have those blocks kind of work the way that they need to do. And then the next step after that's going to be, okay, WordPress itself is not going to do all this other crazy stuff. We're going to rely on the page builders of the world to take over these parts of it. I would imagine. I don't know, I would imagine.
And not just that, but you're still going to have a theme, and your theme is still going to control how the blocks look. So if you want to give your client 3 different types of quotes, you can write that in your theme, in your style sheet. So you can still control how things look, because you can. The good thing about the blocks is contextual formatting. So, and then the theme will control how those are formatted. Like, that's why I super hate the quote block, but I'm using this theme that looks terrible.
Right.
So,
yeah.
That's how WordPress is now. Like, I was telling somebody that I was talking about dating, and I said, you know what dating's like? It's like looking for a WordPress theme. There's a lot of searching, previewing, installing, uninstalling, and a lot of time wasted. But you still have to do it because if you want to find a good theme, you got to search through the directory.
Yeah.
Or build it yourself, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like when you get to have a custom theme people might have trouble. But as far as the rest of us, like I can't wait for the first Gutenberg theme. I'm going to switch bridgetwiller.com. I'm going to use Gutenberg. I'm going to use Gutenberg in April when it comes out in 5.0. No problem. I don't care. I'm not worried about using it on bridgetwiller.com at all. And I can't wait for somebody to make a theme that looks decent because it looks terrible in 2017. The only thing that's going to be kind of suck is one of the things you do when you change themes is right now, for example, 2017 uses 2000 by 1200 images.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell when I had a different theme because my images are different. They're sized differently. And then you're going to have to do that whole regenerate thumbnail thing and figure out what your header is and blah, 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 blah.
But that comes with every single site doing that.
That's what you do every single time. But guess what? Who's going to change to Gutenberg? Bridget. I don't care. Like I want to be in the future. I don't want to be in the current. I don't want to be always behind. You know what I mean? So I think that this is why it's so important. And that's why the marketing team and on Make WordPress has been pushing everybody to try, test, talk about it in your meetups. Let's do everything we can to let people know about it and test it out so that you're not freaked out when it does happen. Because we can't, whether or not we agree with the timeline, which I don't, there's nothing you could do about it. So take it under your own control, which is start a site. WP Stagecoach supports Gutenberg and their staging sites right now. I've verified that with them on Twitter. Start doing some research and start testing your sites on staging. That's what I would do. And then if you find something wrong, don't bitch about it on Twitter. Well, you can bitch about it on Twitter, but then go to GitHub and make an issue. Go do it. I mean, I did it. If I could do, I've did it 3 times. If I did it 3 times, y'all can do it too. Because I'm not a developer. Can you believe it? Like when we started this show 90 episodes ago, I didn't even have a GitHub account.
Yeah, we were super stoked when you got a GitHub account, and we were thinking that you're going to do all this crazy stuff in GitHub, and then you ended up like I don't know, figuring out the sizes of women's t-shirts from camps, and like you're like, you know what, I'm going to find some project to work on. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get this all figured out.
Well, because I said this is a total distraction, but where the developers hang out, they hang out in GitHub. And what I know from marketing is you communicate in the language that people speak. And my developers speak GitHub. So I said, well, suck it up, Buttercup. Get on there.
Yep.
Oh, the chat is going crazy.
I know, right?
Like, I just want to read the chat.
All right, guys, we're going to read the chat, and we'll be back in about 30 minutes.
Kevin Hoffman is saying anything works, period. Full bleed blocks will have to be declared in theme support. And but I'm saying that the theme that I'm using right now, the way that they deal with quotes looks like SHIT.
Yeah, it's not fully, it's not fully
taking advantage of the contextual editing features of a block. Okay, so I can't wait. Okay, whoever makes a theme for Gutenberg, hit me up. I want to try it on gutenbridget.com. Love Bridget. But I'm serious. Like I want to see. I would love to be able to see the things that they're doing and testing live. I would love to be able to have 3 different styles of quotes in my blog post, because I love breaking up text like that. I would love what I would really love is like a drop cap. Back in the day, I used to use drop caps, but
it has drop caps.
Right. Where?
So if you click on the paragraph and then go over to the right hand, the paragraph block, and then go to the right hand side, and you click on the first, I think it's the first or second option is turn on drop cap, and it'll just make a drop cap for you. Is built in.
If you go to the paragraph,
Yeah, so if you click on the paragraph in the editing
Uh-huh.
area and then go to the
Uh-huh.
right-hand side,
Uh-huh.
there should be a
Oh my
thing up there where
gosh.
you can turn on drop cap.
Oh my gosh. I needed
Right?
this
Isn't
my
that cool?
whole life. It's in the block settings on paragraph.
Share your screen. Let's make this happen.
Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. Oh my gosh. I wish that because like that's the cool thing that I
Yeah.
want. That's the cool thing that I want is I want this. So what he's saying is oops. Click on the paragraph you're saying. This
Yep.
is the document, this is the block, and then turn it on. And you can like make it super
Mm-hmm.
big or whatever. Like you can say, okay, this is the way it's gonna be. This is gonna be big. I know that you could do this text color thing, but I didn't like even
Yeah.
think about that. But maybe that can make my quotes better. No, see the additional CSS class isn't there.
Yeah.
But like
But yeah, drop caps are built in. There's tons of stuff that's hidden up in the document area as well as the block area when you're
yeah,
clicking
I
on
mean,
each one
I
of the
was
different
looking at
blocks.
all that stuff. Like that's how I got sticky and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
see, like that worked when I dropped them in
Uh-huh.
this stacking thing. But because it's about the columns,
Right.
this is super cool. I think it's super cool. Or you could do one.
Oh yeah.
But this is one of my favorite things. But it didn't work when I did the preview. Oh, that looks so bitchin'.
Yep.
That looks so bitchin'. I love drop caps with all my heart. See, the quotes look like crap. And that doesn't actually work.
Mm,
But see, it could be a theme conflict.
probably.
You know, but see, drop caps on the beginning of a thing. Like somebody was saying, oh, your things could be really plain, but I don't think they're gonna be plain. I think they're gonna look better. That's the whole point, is that they
Right.
are gonna look better, you know?
Especially when we get into using templating and that sort of stuff, you're going to end up having some really interesting things happen there. Because you can say, like, I want every time my first paragraph shows up, I want that first paragraph to have a drop cap. And then you just set up those paragraphs to kind of do what it needs to do. I think it's going to be a pretty cool thing. Because I mean, the idea that the web uses style sheets as a way to make sure everything looks the same on every single page. Like if you use a paragraph, just a naked paragraph with no class defined, no ID, no nothing, that paragraph is going to have a set style to it. And as soon as you go and put in another, like change the class to something else, now it's going to change it into a different thing. But
Yeah.
you have those base, CSS rules that are already set. Well,
Right.
Gutenberg's going to have to do the same thing, because no one's going to go and say, like, I'm going to reconfigure every single page. Because if you had to do that, no one's going to use that.
No, it's not happening. I mean, Leo Postovit was saying it's all gonna whatever's on your site's still gonna work. This is about going forward, and nobody recommends making those old posts, like say you have 200 posts or whatever you have.
Right.
Nobody's recommending converting existing content into Gutenberg. This is about going forward. So
Yeah.
that's why being able to see your fields with ACF matters. But again, somebody has to make somebody's going to make a theme that's like Guten theme or something that's going to be taking advantage of some of those really nice features. I'd love to try that out, and come and find me and let me try it out. Let me try your theme.
So we've talked about awareness. We've talked about
Awareness.
the education part of it.
Mhm.
What about the marketing side of this? I mean, you're involved in the marketing part of this, of the WordPress project itself. What's going on there?
Okay, so the marketing team publishes on our blog, which is make.wordpress.org/marketing.
Okay.
We are not currently heavily involved in marketing Gutenberg. We are working on a project. We're trying to finish up with WordPress TV, where we interviewed people at WordCamp US who did the actual usability testing, and we're going to upload those on WordPress TV.
So wait, those are the videos that people that sat down and went through the usability testing thing?
No, we did interviews. But
Oh, interviews.
but people are needed to sort through and analyze that data. So other than publishing on the marketing blog, we have grassroots efforts. You have Bridget running around saying, "Oh, y'all need to pay attention." And
so what would you like to have happen then? Maybe that's a safe question to ask. Like, what's something? I mean, it's still early days, so you don't want to sit here and talk about a bunch of stuff with a bunch of screenshots and everything on how to use this thing that isn't fully baked yet.
If Matt Mullenweg sat down with me with the core team and said, "Listen, it's Tammy, it's Matthias, it's Matt and Bridget. We're sitting there at Starbucks, chilling out." They're like, "What should we do?" Is that what you're saying? This is the
that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the?
I would say, Matt, this is a great project. You need to freeze development. I agree with Martin on this. I would say whatever the best version of Gutenberg is as of January 31, that is what you're going to ship with 5.0. Start doing a release candidate right away. So plugins, themes, and agencies have a good 2 months to get ready, because educators have to redo all their content. Developers who have plugin shops have to rewrite their documentation. They have to take new screenshots. They have to make their plugins compatible. That's a lot of human resources.
I mean, I could just see like Sean from, WP101 is going to have to sit there and record a whole bunch of stuff. And the last thing anyone wants to do is record a whole bunch of stuff. Then they change everything, and then you have to record everything.
Right. So they need to commit to that's why I agree with Martin. He wrote an article about it on his site and also on LinkedIn, because he works for LinkedIn, about this. And I think that's, to me, the only thing that's ever bothered me is the timeline and the fact that it is going to have an economic impact, because it does take time. Time is money. I don't know why people don't understand this. So everything that's been recorded on WP Beginner, every WordPress educator, everything on lynda.com, that's all going to be obsolete for anyone using 5.0 and above. So there's a lot of people who are going to be 4.9 legacy. It's going to be kind of a dividing line. This is my prediction. So what I would do is I would consider the ecosystem of the volunteer base of the businesses that have made WordPress 29% of the internet, and I would give them a good 3 months before 5.0 with the frozen release and that release candidate, and let them test everything. And that 2 months at the least. 2 months at the least. I know, because you can't keep up with something that iterates every week.
Yep.
It's not real life.
Yeah.
And when people are submitting issues on GitHub, I mean, you can't just close them without commenting. That's kind of, there's some accessibility issues. I'm not an expert. I know that people need to be able to tab through things. There needs to be, like, even the contrast on that gray thing, that whole white and gray thing, that gray needs to be way darker. There's people over 40 using WordPress. That's all I'm saying, like with my readers, I have trouble. So my biggest recommendation for the project would be to freeze it and start a massive education. I know that Matt has been going around to WordPress meetups and talking, and that's great. And I'm trying to get everybody I know to talk about Gutenberg at meetups. And I would also advise the community team to, get camps to talk about it. Camps are talking about it. That's all really good. But for businesses, in the WordPress ecosystem, this is an opportunity to keep existing or regain previous clients. You know, it
Oh yeah.
is an opportunity, absolutely. And if you're forefront and thinking, okay, the worst thing that could happen is what people have been saying to me for 6 months. Oh, Bridget, it's fine. I think that's like me in earthquake preparedness. I've lived here all my whole life. You have an earthquake, it's over, it's not. In 30 seconds, you died or didn't. But like you would think that I would have everything for survival for a week. I don't. I don't have water. I have nothing. I have a dog. I'm super irresponsible, right? Like just the thing is when you get so used to something, you kind of poo-poo it, right? You're like, oh, I'm used to WordPress. It changes all the time. You weren't here when TinyMC changed, and that was the whole big thing. Okay. So I'm like the person from Kansas moving to California going, oh my God, what if there's an earthquake? Maybe. But also I should have water and dog food for a week and all my medications. I don't, right? So
Right.
that's my choice. So no, I don't have a bug out bag. But the thing is, like saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter," that's it's not responsible. And I feel like that's the worst version. But also, like, don't you want to have clients? I kind of because of I came from construction. I usually try to emphasize to my friends that maintenance is where you make money. It doesn't matter if it's HVAC, roofing, or WordPress websites.
Yep.
You build it and then you charge for maintenance. So you want to, because first of all, is it easier to get a new client or keep an old one? It's easier to keep an existing client. So if you like, you don't want to do the maintenance, then partner up with somebody who does. You know what I mean? You build it, somebody else maintains it, you guys split the income or something like, you know what I mean? But because we have so many one and dones, there's that, well, it doesn't matter because it's not going to affect me because those aren't my responsibilities anymore. And I feel like it's that attitude, good or bad. Like I don't care. I do your one and done thing. That's not what I'm saying. But if that part of it is going to affect the end user, and um, I would just go back to those one and dones and say, hey, the highest paying ones. You can't go to everybody and then go, oh, I really loved building your site. How's it working out for you? Hey, did you know Gutenberg is coming? And they'll be like, what is that? Oh, it's a really great visual editor experience, blah, 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 blah. It's going to change a little bit of stuff. I'd love to do an audit for you just to make sure things are running. I could do this for $500 and give you a report and then make my recommendations. And they're like, oh, that sounds awesome. Of course I'll do that. And then you to get the work, right? It's like a building survey.
Right.
That's what I would recommend my friends do
Yeah. Yeah.
who are businesses. But like, you know, it is a good thing. Gutenberg is good. Okay. I know that people don't think that just because I bring up the problems doesn't mean I don't like it. It's like going to marriage counseling. It doesn't mean that your marriage needs to be divorced. It just means you have some communication issues and you just need to work it out. Then everybody's happy. You go to Tahiti. The world is sunshine and rainbows. Okay. It's just to ignore issues and say that they don't exist. That's not, that just, you know, it's that whole put your head in the sand. That doesn't work, you know? So yeah, basically that's why to me, the marketing is the awareness and education.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
super
that's why
glad
we
you wanted
do.
to do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're doing this here today, is that we wanted to make sure that, you know, that it starts with every community. Each community needs to do this sort of thing. And, you
Yes.
know, just like my community in Whittier here, we got, you know, 20 some odd people that show up to our meetup. Those 20 some odd people didn't even know what a block editor was, or what a Gutenberg was, or what anything was, because it doesn't show up on the morning news reports or anything like that. And they're not going to know anything about it. So when I come in and say, hey guys, just to let you know, this thing that we're going to be looking at today is not happening right now. It is happening soon. I want you to be aware of it. Let's go through the whole process and I'll explain it all to you. And so we went through the whole process. They looked at it. At the end of it, they're like, cool. When's that happening? And I was like, exactly. When's that happening? We don't know yet. We know soon, but don't know when. And it's going to be this year. So let's take a look at it and figure out what's going to happen next.
Exactly. So like, let's disarm the fear by educating, talking about it, and then let's have fun and play with it. And then if we do find things, communicate it. So be aware, educate yourself, test it out, report it. If you see something, say something on GitHub.
Stop, drop, and whirl. Oh my goodness. No, that's cool. I'm glad that we talked about this. We've talked about Gutenberg. If you're part of our mailing list, I sent out an email earlier today talking about an episode that we did probably a couple months back, where we had some folks from Gutenberg team on. We were talking about how Gutenberg set up and what are the trials and tribulations and all the things that we're going to need to look at and what have you. And we went through all of that stuff. So feel free to go take a look at that. Just go look in our archives there, and I'll even put that in the show notes so people will be able to find it here as well.
Good job.
Yep. So the only thing we know at this point is when it comes out, it's going to come out. We're hoping April. Was that right?
At
Stay the Word, right?
Stay the Word, he said April 1, okay? But if you go to makewordpress.org/core/5.0 or whatever, there's a lot of TBDs, okay? So, so Jetpack, that's a funny joke. Okay, so the trunk is open over 15th, the day after 4.9 came out on the 14th. They had their kickoff meeting. Like, I don't know if this hasn't been updated or whatever, but I would be paying attention to this page with the dates. There's going to be a beta 1. There's going to be a beta 2, 3, 4. There's going to be a release candidate and string freeze, then a hard string freeze. So that's the thing, is like, pay attention. We're going to see what's happening, but don't say, oh, it's never going to happen or whatever. I mean, if it is, fine. If it doesn't happen, fine. Then you're fine. But it's going to happen. And there's nothing you can do about it except for, you can either, these are your choices. Ignore it. Stay with 4.9 and back. Don't grow in tech, which is never a good idea. Retire and go live in Costa Rica.
Right. There's plenty of people that are running Windows 95 right now on their computers, and they're part of a botnet, and their computers are constantly sending out a bunch of crap to the rest of the people out on the internet. I wouldn't suggest that.
Right.
Don't stick around and use the oldest thing that, get off my lawn style that works for you. Like, use the latest and greatest stuff. And we're giving you enough time to figure this out and to play around with it. And WordPress itself is giving you enough time to sit here and play around with some beta stuff on there.
And honestly, Jason, like, they're giving us more time than Twitter did when they changed their gear to the 3 dots. Like,
right.
I just go to Twitter and all of a sudden you're like, WTF. Like,
where did everything go? What happened here?
And I'm putting up my old Twitter videos. I'm like, that's not even how it looks like anymore. And I have to redo all those videos. Well, guess what? That's life. But I'm just saying, the Twitter education sphere and the WordPress education sphere, one is way bigger than the other, right? And Twitter doesn't tell you crap. They don't care. It's just, oh, look, it says follow back. Like, that's a new thing that happened this week. They're always changing your UI. So we at least get a heads up in WordPress. Nobody else bothers. Facebook, every time it's all buggy, oh, they're live testing again, right? So, like, in the world of tech, there's a little bit more graciousness going on with WordPress. Whether we just like to be like, oh, because it is annoying. And it, there's a potential for the new Coke situation to happen. And then there's going to be a fork, or there's going to be attrition with volunteers, or people are going to go use some Braco or something. I don't know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? But to me, the most important thing is listening to people and having them heard. And you know how you get heard in the United States?
What's up?
You vote. You know how you get heard in WordPress?
What's
GitHub.
that? GitHub.
You know
Yep,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like, you don't want to be that person who goes, ah, la, la. Did you vote? No. Then shut up, right? So,
Yep.
like, I really felt like that. I was so inspired by Morton because I've been studying this, and then he goes, just go on GitHub. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Just go on GitHub. Why not? And so that's what I did. It's GitHub looks intimidating like track, but what is intimidating is not the platform. What's intimidating is the comments. Just remember, some
Yeah.
people live in other parts of the world, and please and thank you um, aren't part of their world. So, Jason, at 7:45, we're going to have a new feature. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I thought we'd do something fun. So like typically what happens on this show is that we get around the 45-minute mark and we go, what else can we talk about relating to this thing that we just spent 45 minutes talking about? I don't know what it is. I mean, this has happened. We've been doing doing these shows for 91 episodes at this point. We've switched from a half an hour show to an hour long show. We've tried a whole bunch of things. So I want to try something new this time. And this time we're going to do something called like a cool pick of the week. I don't know what the name's going to be. If you want to like help us out in the chat room or what have you, feel free to do that as well. And we'll hash it out and figure out what we're going to call it. But I'm thinking something like a cool pick of the week. So Bridget and I sat down before the show and we thought, what are the things that we could talk about? And what's something that we can, kind of discuss regarding something cool that we found this week or something like that. So did you want to try by kicking us off there, Bridget, or do you want me to go? All right, go for it.
So one of my favorite blogs is called Brain Pickings. And I love it because I love these whole ideas colliding kind of things. And Maria Poplova, she reads all these different things and then merges it. It's one of the only email things that I actually subscribe to and read. She should definitely start using Give instead of that PayPal button. I wrote her about it. It's so ugly. But anyway, she takes all these multiple disciplines and then she like gives you the best things of it. And the one that I really liked, because I've been walking a lot lately this year, is this article from the 10th of January called Walking as a Creative, Walking as Creative Fuel. And this quote from Kenneth Graham it totally hit me. It says, nature's particular gift to the walker through the semi-mechanical act of walking, a gift no other form of exercise seems to transmit in the same high degree, is to set the mind jogging, to make it garrulous, exalted, a little mad maybe, certainly creative and super sensitive, until at last it really seems to be outside of you, and as if it were talking to you while you're talking back to it. Then everything gradually seems to join in. Sun and the wind, the white road and the dusty hedges, the spirit of the season, whichever that may be, the friendly old earth that is pushing life from every sort under your feet, or spellbound in a death-like winter trance, till you walk in the midst of a blessed company, immersed in a dream talk for far transcending any possible human conversation. Time enough later for that. Here and now, the mind is shaken off its hardness, snorting and kicking up heels like a colt in the meadow. I was just like, oh my gosh, what a poetic way of talking about, like we talk about the science of being outside and exercise and the fitness aspects and losing weight. But so many times we forget that just doing something mind numbing or not listening to something while you're walking. So that's what I do. When I go to walk to the harbor, I'm not on the phone. I don't have earbuds in. I don't listen to podcasts or music, because you're letting your brain just kind of relax. And you know what always happens? Ooh, I'm going to write about this. Oh, wait, I need to add this to my website. Like all these ideas come. So if you're finding that you're in a kind of a slump, get out of your desk, walk away, go for a walk outside, let your brain relax at least 20 minutes, and then come back, and I bet you'll be on fire. Love, love, love that. And if you're like super philosophical, you'll like all the quotes and stuff. That's why I read that paragraph. It's very like esoteric and, whatever.
That's cool.
That's my pick.
Nice.
That's my inspiration of the week.
Inspiration of the week. Ooh, there you go. Well, mine has to do with computer stuff. as it should be from coming from somebody like me. But this was something that we were let's see, who was it that was somebody posted. I think it was Greg Franklin that posted on Facebook about a kind of using Chrome's dev tools and how you can kind of do some really fun things with it. And anybody can play around with this, because this is the type of thing where you're wanting to learn how to modify the web, even if you're not messing. Like if you just want to learn HTML and play around with it, you can right click on anywhere on this page and then just go to inspector and then just start changing text on pages.
Ooh, cool.
You can sit there and change a bunch of text on there and then look at it and go like, ooh, look, I have the headline for, whatever the website is, the Washington Post or what have you. So it's kind of neat to play around with this stuff. So my pick is the 30 Chrome Dev Tool Tips by John Cooperman. And so John Cooperman kind of goes through at an event that he was at, where he kind of goes through how somebody can kind of use these dev tools to be able to either make changes or set up how JavaScript's changing something on the screen, or jQuery's changing something on the screen, or any of those sorts of things. And so I wanted to show you folks this real quick, because it looked really interesting to me, and it's definitely something that you should look at as well. So he kind of goes through some of the various things that you can do with being able to like change the way you're looking at responsive pages on the web, and how all those things are built out. Cooperman used to work for Twitter, and so he's kind of showing you some of the stuff that's within Twitter and how he went through and kind of did some debugging and stuff. And then he talks about, conditional breakpoints, and he just goes on and on and on about a whole bunch of JavaScript-y type stuff towards the end of this. But it's super interesting if it's something that you've been playing around with for a while, doing any type of front-end development work or anything like that. Jay Coop did some really great stuff there, so feel free to go take a look at that, because it's super duper interesting. And if it's something that you're using and you don't understand all the little nuancey type things that are in there, feel free to go take a look at that.
Yeah, but like that's an interesting kind of segue to end the show. And then a lot of times yesterday at Women Who WP, there were a lot of new people, and they're like, "Well, I didn't know anything," and we forget that immersion, which is WPblab used to be for me.
Yep.
Immersing yourself and listening and exposing yourself to things you're unfamiliar with, that has a value, and it doesn't always have to be. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to listen to something and then be able to understand it immediately, instead of allowing us to soak in information and to naturally click. So a lot of times something like that, even if you're not ready for it, you can listen to it in the background, and then all of a sudden you'll start to hear things that make sense. That's a powerful way to learn. And I really think that my passion for education obviously is coming through, but there's a value to subconscious learning. And so, yeah.
It's very non-destructive. So if you just wanted to go onto twitter.com and change all the words for, tweet to be but or something, you can do that. You can just go on there, right click on it, change some words, and then just play around with it and kind of figure out how HTML works, how CSS works. If you wanted to remove all of the advertisements from a page before you hit print, you can right click on things and say, hide this, hide that, hide this, hide that, and hide a bunch of stuff before you make a screenshot or a printout or something like that. It's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with this. So even if you're not a developer,
are you going
it's
to
definitely some fun things. Yeah.
Or put it in the show notes? Or
yeah, I'll definitely put it in the show notes so you guys can take a look at it. But it's some fun stuff. And if you're, just trying to learn the basics of how to do this sort of thing, it's great. And one of the other things he mentioned in here, which I haven't found the link to, I don't know if he's actually done the talk yet or not, but is actually using Chrome development tools, or using that tool within Chrome to actually make changes, like live changes to a site. So you can right click on something, make some changes in there, and using the workspaces piece that's built into this, be able to make a change, hit save, and then all the things that you made blue will now be blue on your website. So cool. Really, really neat stuff there. And when I find that link, I'll be sure to share that as well. But it's some really cool stuff to kind of play around with and really learn how to use the web. So that's about it, Bridget.
Yeah.
We have any closing comments or anything like that we want to finish up with?
Go to WordCamps, meet some friends, go to your meetups, participate.
Yeah. And if you learn anything, share it with people, because the meetup people that do this stuff, they need more content. And if you're somebody who knows even like a teeny little bit about something, get up on stage and explain something about it so other people in the room can do that as well.
Yeah, volunteer to speak at your meetup. Say yes to yourself.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's it. We're hearing the chimes. You know, that's the end of the end of the show here. So go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. You can click on the links there. Subscribe if you enjoyed this content and you want to learn how to subscribe. There's a bunch of ways to do it. You can go to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, where you can find all the information on how to subscribe to our content. If you're not on our mailing list, there's a link in there to join our mailing list, so you'll know when these particular shows are coming out, as well as any type of calls for being able to be on a show or something like that. You can definitely do that as well. Like I said, tomorrow on WP Watercooler, we're going to be talking about the myths and misperceptions of WordPress tomorrow. It's going to be super duper interesting. And we've also lined up the following week. We're going to be talking about a bunch of crazy stuff with Jetpack. You know, we're going to air our grievances of Jetpack, and hopefully George will go in there and make all the appropriate changes. So we'll have a really badass Jetpack by the end of the show. So that's it for today. Talk to y'all later. You have a good rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.